Right, lots to get to. So, first of all, again, I want to just say a huge give a huge shout out to our fan base. What a phenomenal atmosphere! I actually think we should do more of those anytime. Quarterfinals, semifinals, regular season. Just a night atmosphere. You know, we do the Gold Rush game, and that's almost like a twilight game because you're kind of still into late summer, and the evening is beautiful sunset, and the crowd's always awesome, but there's something about a night game, and I think that, especially in a playoff atmosphere, it's fitting. Generally speaking, I would prefer to play at noon or 1, but in those kind of settings where it's kind of a one-off, it's a special event, I think it really does add something to it. People coming off of work and showing up, and the businesses pitching in and buying tickets so that we could have a tremendous crowd, and I definitely think it made a difference. I do, and so big win for our program. I think our guys are still hungry and excited to play. It's one of those deals where the Christmas is all messed up, travel's all messed up, finals week, this and that, and I'm like, well, what else do you guys want to do? You signed up to be college football players, and here we are getting a chance to play our 15th game this year, almost an NFL season basically, and so that's pretty cool. And so I'm happy to answer any questions. Well, let me start off with just an opening statement about North Dakota State University, and then we can get on to some other stuff. But what do you want to say? This is a 14-0 team, one of the only undefeated teams at any level in the United States right now. Number 4 rushing offense in the country. They have 4 guys with over 600 yards rushing, average 6.5 yards a carry. Their offensive line has 3 first-team All-Missouri Valley Conference players. They've got a redshirt freshman quarterback that's completing almost 70% of his passes. He's thrown 25 touchdowns with no interceptions. And so I think he's just stepping right in where Carson Wentz and gosh, I can't remember the guy from last year. He kicked our butt so bad. I should probably, Easton Stick. And this is a machine. And it doesn't matter who's coaching them. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. As long as that O-line is what it is, they're going to be pretty good. And so it's kind of plug and play. It seems like. Over from Coach Bowl through this present group with Coach Entz, it's really 35-game win streak. It's hard to wrap your head around that, like how prolific this group is and what a tremendous accomplishment it is. But, Trey Lance, I've already talked about 880 rushing yards, 2,300 plus passing yards, 68%. It's like eye-popping numbers. And then they've got the two-headed monster at running back, Ty Brooks, and then the Cofield kid, and then obviously the big dominant offensive line. Defensively, they're suffocating. And that's the word I would use, suffocating. Number 2 in total defense. They're giving up under 13 points a game. Their D-line is very active. Number 91 is one of the better players that we will see all year. I think the Cox kid, number 42, he should have probably just gone to the draft last year so we didn't have to play him again. And so when you combine atmosphere, scheme, and talent, you got a pretty good outfit. And so I'm advocating for us to do these semifinal games at a neutral site and do a doubleheader. I think that would be better for everybody involved, and we'll go from there. And then you start looking at it right here, and you look at their special teams. This is maybe the underrated part of this. I think they have 18 of their 50 punts are pinned inside the 10-yard line, so they do a great job controlling field position. Their punt returner is one of the better punt returners in the country. They're just dangerous in every phase, and they do the little things, like they don't penalize themselves like we had a tendency to do last week. They play great special teams. They're not overly unpredictable, and it's not like you're going to see a bunch of fake punts or fake field goals. They just play the field position game. They lean on their defense and their running game, and they win a lot of games. And so, hey, we'll have our hands full. But we've seen the elephant before. I think that is good for us. That we don't need to go to the Fargo Dome and get a feel for. We know what we're getting ourselves into, and I think that does help us a little bit. And last year, I think we were that satisfied team that was happy to be there. And we weren't still hungry, and hopefully we've got a little, fire in our belly this year, and we're ready to go give these guys a little bit better game.
You mentioned last year that you kind of like their blueprint as a program. Just in what ways do you think you're have some commonalities philosophy-wise?
Well, I think our philosophies are very similar, but where we're at in achieving the type of success that they've had is we're still a ways away. We got to play football for a long time around here to catch up with those guys. So, I believe in playing stout defense, running the football, being sound in the kicking game. I think they're very much in line.
Do you think having that hunger this year might be the difference between this year and last year, going in there?
Yeah, so it's funny, I was anticipating a bunch of these comparisons between this year and last year. And I will say this, it doesn't matter what happened a year ago. It doesn't. It doesn't matter for them, and it doesn't matter for us, because you're not the team you were yesterday. And so, let alone a year ago. And, you know, we've got to avoid having any PTSD from our traumatic experience that took place in the Fargo Dome. But I think our guys have played a ton of football since then. I mean, played a ton of football and have played to a higher degree. We're more competitive. I think we're a better team overall. We're more well-rounded. They are the same. They're who they are. So what happened last year, what happened this year, throw it out the window. Doesn't matter. None of those guys, I mean, there's some guys that are playing in the game, but it's you know, what is it, 385 days. That's the difference. That's a long time.
Last week, Illinois State gave them a pretty good game. What did you like about their game plan? Do you see anything that you could maybe take into your game against North Dakota State?
Defensively, definitely. You know, I think there were some things that they did that were very effective, obviously, against what NDSU was doing to stop them. Still, the kind of the hard thing is that the quarterback is really at his best just running the football at times. As accurate as he is as a passer, and as good as he is within the running the offense and handing the ball off, I mean, when the thing breaks down, that's when he's most dangerous. And really, that was a lot of what got them going. And when they got opportunities, they did tighten up in the red zone. Certainly, the red zone defense that Illinois State played was tremendous, and that's something that we've got to try to replicate to the best of our ability. I think it's interesting when you have a team like Illinois State that's in the league, and so those playing teams twice, you get a really good feel for things. And it wasn't a very competitive game when they played Illinois State early in the season, and it was at Illinois State, and so certainly it shows you how teams evolve. I mean, if we could turn back time, I don't think that North Dakota State game would be as close as it was, and I don't think we would have lost it. But you don't get do-overs, and so we're just happy to be where we're at, in a position to control our own destiny and get an opportunity to play a great program like North Dakota State.
How much do you think the offensive and defensive lines have improved this season?
I think they've been good all season, but I do think that we're playing. Our depth has improved, and so when you substitute, maybe that's the thing that shows up, is instead of having a little bit of a drop off, there's pretty consistent level of high play on both sides. I mean, we played, Connor Wood was back for this last game, and we kind of rolled he and Jake Sessions in and out. But early in the year, Jake wouldn't have been a guy that we would have leaned on for a bunch. But now that he started 4 or 5 games for us, he's a guy that can not just give us quality depth, but it's turned into a very good football player for us. And so I think that maybe is the biggest difference. It's not that they weren't playing at a high level early. It's that we've developed more depth, and I think those guys have more confidence.
You mentioned Matt Entz. Just what does it say about the program that he can seamlessly just kind of step in and take over and go undefeated up until this point?
I don't know, because I've never been in that situation, to be honest with you. So I'd like to find out, but that's probably a question for Matt, not me. I mean, I really do not have, obviously they've got a tremendous commitment from their administration and their community there. I mean, they have full cost of attendance at North Dakota State. That's what Division I football FBS programs have, I don't think there's a program in the Big Sky Conference that offers that. I think James Madison would be another one that probably does. And so there's a commitment from the administration, there's a commitment from the community, there's an expectation within that community that they're going to be good. And tradition is something that you can always build on and lean on. And they've won national championships, not just at this level, but previously at the Division II level as well. And so, man, it's a phenomenal program to look at from the outside. But the closest thing I can say is probably what I experienced at Boise, where it was just walk in and everybody's winning, and it's like, this is pretty awesome. But we've kind of done it a different way here, and so again, that's probably a question you'd have to ask Coach Entz, not me.
Is the run that they've been on this last decade, do you think it's good for college football? Do you think it's good
No.
for the FCS?
I think we all got to play the same game, So, but it is what it is. These are the rules we're playing by, and so. I hope that we can make it more competitive. I'm sure they love it, but it's the same storyline every year, right? And like I said, if you've got one group that's offering $3,000, $3,400 a year in cash to these kids that another group isn't, the scholarship isn't apples and apples. So are we really playing on the same level? I don't know. But that's not my decision to be made. I mean, I think everything should be, you want everything to be competitive. I don't think it's good that Alabama and, they're not in the playoff this year, but I don't think it's good that Clinton, you can pick your 4 teams and they're always in it. I don't think that's good for college football either. I think they got to examine it, because eventually everybody's going to go, well, why don't you just go play a different brand of professional football, and then we'll all go over here and play our little brand of football. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's always better for fan bases, for the game as a whole, when there's parity. And I think that's one of the things you see in the NFL. There's, people are kind of sick of the Patriots, obviously, but there is more parity in the NFL. And that's because everybody's playing by the same rule. Everybody's got the same salary cap. Those types of things are pretty level.
When you look at Trey Lance, first-year starter, how significant is that to be able to throw 256 passes without an interception?
Yeah, I don't know that that's been done ever, really. I mean, I think that might be one of the more historic stats that I can think of. It's pretty amazing. Obviously, guy that's been in the system for a year but stepped into some big shoes and has just done his thing, and that is really, really impressive.
You faced some senior quarterbacks in Jake Mayer and Dalton Sneed, Siobhan Craig last week. Do you see a difference in a freshman quarterback for North Dakota State compared to what they've had the last couple of years?
I really don't see a lot of. I mean, the system is the system. I mean, he gets up to the line of scrimmage and he's getting. If he sees pressure coming from one side, he's going to check the run opposite. I'm sure they. I mean, Easton probably had a lot more latitude within that. Maybe the box is a little bit tighter for Trey, but it seems like he's operating at a really high level. I mean, it just again almost 70%. I think there was a point in time in the season where he had. More touchdown passes than completions early in the season at one point in time, which is like wrap your head around that one. And so, yeah, he's a phenomenal player and has really stepped in and not missed a beat.
What is this week like, just with signing day on Wednesday, and just maybe how does that change?
It's a little hectic, but I think winning helps. Yeah, I mean, if we were, obviously we haven't been able to get out on the road. We were out on Saturday. Saturday was the last day of the contact period. It went dead, went into a quiet period on Saturday night at midnight or Sunday morning at midnight. And so we just haven't been out to get out. We haven't been doing a lot of home visits. We haven't been beating the streets, trying to find some guys. But the one thing that, Daenerys did a great job of was getting guys on campus in June and July so that even without being here on an official visit, kids were comfortable signing because they'd seen the place, they'd sat down with the coaches and done some of the things that they would do traditionally on an official visit. So I think we're going to be in good shape. But it definitely adds a little extra anxiety, so to speak, when you're trying to get ready for a game. Now, well, our schedule's good because by the time we get to 3 o'clock when we do this press conference on Wednesday, we're basically wrapped up. Thursday is our guys' day off. We'll practice here on Friday. We'll fly to Fargo, Friday afternoon and go do our thing. And we're not even going to go to the venue because we've been there. So it's we'll do everything here and then go get ready to compete.
How much excitement are you feeling around just what you guys are doing right now? First time in 35 years.
Yeah, I don't know that you really get an opportunity to appreciate any of that. People are saying, "Hey, good game and congratulations," and you always want to be very appreciative of the support that we get and say thank you. But I don't go downtown. I don't eat out. I mean, I just kind of live in my own little world, and so I would imagine that. It's kind of like a lot of things in this profession because the next challenge is always right in front of you, whether that's a game or recruiting or spring ball or whatever that might be. I don't know that we really get a chance to enjoy it much. I hope the kids do, but like I told them, don't listen to the hype and don't believe the hype on either side. Just focus on what we got to do in terms of preparation.
Coach, regardless of the result this Saturday, with all you guys been able to accomplish this season, where does that level, that bar of success kind of, stay with this program?
And I think that obviously there's a new standard, and like I said last year, after my experience in Fargo, was one thing I did learn was that we don't want to go there in the second round, and so understanding that what we do in the regular season and how we go about it gives us a chance to continue to play, and so I think that new standard, obviously. It would have been nice to win the Big Sky, but I think we're one of the best teams in the Big Sky without a doubt. We didn't play the only other team that's alive right now, But I don't think it would have mattered if we had played Sacramento State on Friday in Sacramento. I think we would have won that game. And so, like I said, you want to trade an opportunity to play for a national championship, for a Big Sky championship? I'd say, yeah, I would. So let's go get the big one.
You spoke to it a little bit, but how important is it to have been to North Dakota State, to been to the Fargo Dome, especially for everyone on this team? You brought a lot of guys back that have been there. How important is that?
I think it really matters because it is a unique environment. I mean, it's loud and, you know, it's very compact. So it's different, and I think that having been there does help. You can walk through it when there's nobody in there, and it's not going to matter. But, you know, we've been in there when it was loud and rowdy, and I think that helps. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's one of those things where we have to be intimidated by the environment. We've been there. You know, we've seen it. You know, we didn't compete very well, but I think it definitely helps to have a chance to have seen it and been in that environment.
Is there a lot of enthusiasm around having another shot at these guys after the way that the game went down last year?
I don't think it matters. I mean, I kind of comes back to what I was talking about. Like, if we were going to James Madison or Illinois State was coming here, this has nothing to do with who we're playing. This is all about us. If we start worrying about who we're playing and where we're playing them and what I get to do when I go home we can just call it in. So this cannot be about North Dakota State. This is 100% about Montana State University, what our guys' job is on 1st and 10 when we run inside zone, what our job is, fit and power. That's what this is about, and that's my message. And so we don't make this about, you know, so I was sure somebody was going to ask me about revenge, and I was, you know, that's the worst motivator in sports. But, you know, you better focus on you, you know, and that's what we're all about right now.
As this program has progressed, how important and kind of dependable has a guy like Kevin Cass has been, and just kind of his, you know, leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's two-time captain here, climbing the career receptions and yards list, and we needed somebody to make a play for us on Friday night on offense, besides 22 in our offensive line. And, you know, 15 wasn't going to be was in street clothes, and 10 had a couple chances and, you know, didn't have his best that night. And that fade ball that Kevin caught, I thought it was just the one play, but it was such a big play. And it was a great throw by Tucker. And so that's who he's been, is, you know, what do I need to do to help this team win now? And I was really impressed with the way he stepped up in that moment, kind of like he did, you know, 2 weeks ago against Albany with a big night, 4 or 5 weeks ago at Cal Davis, when at that point in time he had a career night when we needed him the most. And that's it.
He mentioned, you know, not having a ton of college opportunities coming out of high school, and how grateful he was to even be here. Just kind of have you seen that from him, kind of continuing to just be grateful? And
yeah, he's maximized his opportunity for sure. Yeah.
What's the most impressive part of Infante's recent hot streak? He's been on a pretty good run. What's the most impressive part of this run right now?
I think he would have had a year for the ages if he was healthy. So it's no news to me. I mean, I think he's the best back in the league. And unfortunately, we just didn't get a chance to showcase his talents behind the best offensive line in the league. And so, you know, that combination doesn't come along very often, where you got a really, really special running back and you got a really special 5 guys in front of him. And so I'm glad we got him back, and he's just got to keep doing his thing. I mean, he still may, I don't know, what has he rushed for this far?
750.
Yeah, I was going to say, the guy still might go for 1,000. Think about that. I mean, he basically didn't play for the majority of the season. And so, I mean, you know, went for, 84 yards against Texas Tech, then 120 basically in the first quarter against SEMO, and then didn't play significant reps until Cal Poly. And, you know, or Cal Davis, really, I guess. And so, even though he had a couple good runs against Cal Poly. And so, I think it's, I don't know, I mean, it's pretty epic, really, if you think about it. And so, but in this league where you got a lot of good players, it's, you know, it's hard to get your run. And so we'll let him do it on a national stage. I think he'll embrace the opportunity to go play against a great defense on Saturday, and I'm excited for everybody to get to see our brand of football.
Defensively, this team's been playing at such a high level. Do you feel like this is kind of the peak, or do you think that there's another level that your defense can get to?
I hope they can get to another level. You know, I don't think you ever really get you don't stay the same, generally speaking. You either get better or you get worse. And I think our guys are hungry. I mean, I do. I mean, you know, I think we're pretty good on defense, but you're only as good as your last performance. And so we got to go take on a big challenge, different challenge. You know, not unlike what we had last week. I was very concerned about the +1 run game with Craig. This week it's just all about just discipline and physicality. I mean, you know, you get out of your gap a little bit and they cram power into the A gap 35 times on you. It doesn't take much for them to get on top of it in a hurry, and so we've just got to do the same thing, the details of our position over and over and over and over again at a really high level, and not get discouraged and just keep playing with our edge and physicality. And we're going to need all 64 guys that we bring to have that edge.
What makes number 42, Jabril Cox, such a solid linebacker?
He's got NFL prototypical size, speed, strength, and he's got great instincts. You don't see very many guys at our level that are, you know, that 6'2", 230-pound guy that run the way he does. That's usually a guy that you're seeing in the. I mean, he probably should be playing in the Big 12 or somewhere like that. I mean, you just look at his numbers, his size, his height. That's the measurables add up for him to be a next level type of player. Okay, we good?
Yeah.
Thanks.